While, I look at that bill as a starting point, I think the important piece here to take away from it all is that this is a starting point. We finally got somewhere where we have a bipartisan consensus around a bill. I don't believe that bill to be the final bill, but a mere starting point. And so that's why our continued engagement is going to be essential over the coming days, weeks, and months on however long this process continues to play out. But I do have a lot of optimism that we'll be able to get something, in the very least, an extension done between now and November. So that being said, Dwayne, you want to just kind of talk through all the fun things in DC?
Yeah, man. What a last 7 days. A lot of moving pieces, a lot of pieces that passed, a lot of things yet to come. A lot of, next 2 weeks are going to be big, but let's back up, rewind, and we'll go from there. We'll get to Andy Barr and Angie Craig, but let's start with the House and the Senate. House is officially on August recess. That means they're gone until September. The Senate should be in for the next week and a half, 2 weeks. They've got some nominations that they need to deal with. I'm going to get a little wonky, so please bear with me, guys. So, from the House's perspective, they passed something called a continuing resolution. And what a continuing resolution is, taking pretty much all the appropriation bills as well as other things and extending them into a certain period of time. Now, you've heard me talk about this on previous calls where sometimes you add something to extend to what they call lame duck. That's around that December timeframe. That's what the House did. With our conversations with the House, they had no intentions of putting anything that may be deemed controversial into this bill. We then had a conversation with Senate leadership, Republican and Democrats, as well as the administration, and we found out that the House bill, we kind of considered a backstop. It wasn't one that was actually being negotiated. It was one that could pass, and then the House could go home. And if sugar turns to you know what in September, the Senate can always pick up that bill. That was the intent. So it was a messaging bill where if the Senate and the administration don't come together on some sort of agreement between now and September 30th, the House can be like, we did our job, turn to that. Now, I say all that to say the next piece, because early last week, Monday, the White House sent their anomaly list to the Senate and the House. Now, again, the House had already proceeded to be pushing for their CR, so they did not include any of the things on the anomaly list. I do know that the Senate and the White House are talking right now. Fortunately, we had hemp language included from the White House to the Senate in the anomaly, asking them to fix the issue that we have at hand. I know the conversations are happening. Along with that, I can tell you I expect them to drop language this week, but we're back in Congress. It could be next week. They could actually not drop language and head home for August recess, and we don't get anything until September. So a lot of uncertainty on that. But what I do know is that right now is a very important time. In the House, before they left, Brian alluded to the Angie Craig, Andy Barr bill. And again, I think that's HR, give me one sec, 9830, my bad. HR 9830. So I know a lot of you guys have been looking for that number. That's the number to the bill. Now we enter August recess, and this is where you guys, and we'll talk about this a little bit later, this is where you guys come to play, right? Because now members in the House especially have went home. So for the next 4 weeks, they're going to be back in their districts, your districts, having conversations about what's important to you going into an election year. This is the best time to be able to talk to your member. And the reason why this is so important, I strongly believe, and I don't think I'm wrong, the continuing resolution is the last train leaving the station before November. Brian, I'm pretty sure I'm able to say that's the last moving vehicle that needs to pass before November. And so that's why the White House making sure it's a part of the anomaly was so important. But then also it's going to take us over the next 4 weeks talking to our members of Congress in a very peaceful manner and letting them know there are no more, I'm not going to say bullets in the chamber. There are no more trains leaving the station. This is it. We need to be a part of this. And I think we have a great opportunity, and I think we have a lot of momentum. So with that, Brian, I'll turn it back over to you if you want to talk about letters and such.
Yeah, yeah. So where we're at right now is we're in a little bit of the PR phase. We're entering back into that. Rachel dropped into the chat for everyone a Google Doc. What we're asking for are associations. We're asking for veteran groups. We're asking for any other association type groups outside of just the hemp industry to sign on and support this. This is going to be a non-branded letter. This is coming from all of these folks that are supporting the hemp industry. It's going to be asking for an extension. That is going to be something that is our fallback, and what we are, in the very least, hoping to get while Congress continues to sort through what the world will look like. So as Dwayne said, we also dropped in. We're also going to be dropping into the chat very shortly. We're going to be dropping in a CTA. And that CTA is going to be asking for Congress to support an extension in the CR. And that is what we're going to be asking for as a starting point, just in case we do not get a regulatory structure that we are hoping for. Other positive news, a regulatory bill that is, we anticipate to see coming out of the Senate. Is forthcoming. We anticipate that to come potentially this week. But again, as everyone knows, Congress does what Congress does. They have their own timelines. They need to socialize things internally. But right now, I would say this week couldn't be a more critical week for the industry. We do need to blast, the emails around to members of Congress. Dial into your members of Congress while we are on while Congress is on recess.
Sure.
Please set up meetings in your member districts and talk about the importance of saving every single aspect of the hemp industry, not individual carve outs. These are things that are incredibly important for us to get across the finish line over the month of August. But this week it is very important for us to get the CTA language blasted around, which Rachel will be dropping into the chat very shortly. But in the interim, please open and save the letter that was dropped in by Rachel at 4:03. It's a Google Doc. We ask that you sign that association leadership, sign off and put the name of that association behind this letter in support of the hemp industry.
And
Um,
Brian, I'll also say this, 'cause I know some people on the call are going to be like, "Well, you're telling us to do so many things. We can't get on the same page." And my response is, we can walk while chewing gum at the same time. I think again, what we've continually told everyone ever since the fly-in on January the 20th, which is, hey, members they weren't comfortable with extending without some sort of regulation being talked about. Right now, fast forward, what we have done till today is now we have multiple regulatory bills. Right, you've got the Morgan Griffith and Mark Vesey bill. You've got the Andy Barr, Angie Craig bill. What is common about both those bills? They're bipartisan, right? And they're talking about the pathway forward. So now we're talking to these members and we're saying we have the bills to regulate the industry. The White House wants it, but if you guys can't get that done in the next 8 weeks, which is a very big ask, extension. Give yourselves enough time, right? Give yourselves enough time so we can get this done. So again, for those who are like, we're all over the place, no, we're very coordinated. We're just running parallel to each other right now.
yep. So that being said, Rachel just dropped into the that's the contribution link for Hifa. Got to keep paying the bills, but also a get involved link as well. And we are going to be dropping very shortly into the chat the CTA, which we are updating right now as we speak, so that everyone can blast it around to their email lists, to their various associations, into any of the group chats that we are a part of. We need to start to make a lot of noise into Congress right now.
And can I
And
say something real quick, Brian? Because I'm,
yeah,
I'm going to put a couple of
wow.
names out there because they need. I'm just going to do it. I've talked to some members, I've talked to some staff, and I've talked to a couple of members who have said they're not hearing from constituents. One of them is Julia Letlow, Louisiana. She'll be potentially an incoming senator from Louisiana that will be dealing with this issue. Another who actually has some concerns about our industry is Susan Collins up in Maine. Again, I think these ladies need to hear respectfully from the industry about how the decisions are affecting, not just constituents, but suburban mobs, those who are older, veterans, small business owners, everything under the sun. And again, it's not me just wanting to call out members, but when I get feedback like that, I do think over the next 4 weeks, they should be invited to tour facilities, right? She should be talking to store owners who she probably knows from a friend of a friend of a friend who are going to be affected by this. Because I think a lot of times, once those members start hearing from people, everyday people they come in contact with, people they walk down the street with, people they run to at Costco or Sam's Club, depending on where you live, things become a lot different. So, we have 4 weeks to really get a hold of these members and let them know the importance of the next 2 months.
Yeah, I'll definitely reemphasize what Dwayne said. I mean, folks from Maine, if there's anyone on this call, couldn't be more important for you guys to reach out to Senator Collins right now, and talk about the importance of this issue. I know there's been some great folks from Maine that were helpful during the fly-in, but that's just one example. Please, please, please reach out to the various members of your states. And as soon as it is updated, we're going to drop that into the chat. Rachel will be dropping that in. That being said, we have a few more minutes of the
You want
call.
to do a
So
couple questions?
why don't we do that?
All right.
And we're not going to dive too in the weeds on this call on the substance of the bar bill, because again, the way we view the substance of the bar and Craig bill is it is a starting point. Not everyone's always going to be happy with every single thing. We support the movement that we've seen in a bipartisan manner, and we view that bill as a mere starting point, not the end point.
I'll do Todd official off field. What is the approach for maximizing the opportunity for an extension through the Senate CR? How do we make progress with the Appropriations Committee? One, reaching out to members. If you are from a state and your senator is on appropriations, I definitely reach out to them. Republican, Democrat, doesn't matter. I'd also reach out to my senator in general and say it's very important that the Senate listens to the White House and the anomaly they sent. It's very important that the Senate works with the other branches to fix the issue. Where it is right now is the White House has sent over that they would like this addressed. Senate approach members now are taking that in consideration, having conversation with the White House, Republicans and Democrats. And so this is where it's important that all of a sudden, let's say, you're Hovind, you're Susan Collins, you're on the Appropriations Committee, you're Katie Britt, and you hear from a lot of your constituents saying, hey, you have an opportunity to fix this industry, regulate it appropriately, or give the industry more time as you fix this industry. Please do so. That's how that's so important. So it's kind of going back to what Brian is saying. Even if the bill is introduced in the next couple of days, I don't anticipate them voting on the Senate CR bill this week. I could be wrong. I have been wrong before. If I'm never wrong, I will always play the lotto. But I anticipate that this getting kicked to at least next week and possibly September. But we have time to talk to the members, especially on appropriations.
All right, I'm gonna drop an updated link in there. Oh, Rachel just did it, updated page. Rachel, if you could you delete the last CTA? The updated CTA was just dropped with the little smiley face from Rachel, and just to further make sure we get it right, I just dropped it in as well. But to one of the questions, what is the approach for maximizing the opportunity for an extension through the Senate CR? How do we make progress with the Appropriations Committee? I'll talk about the grassroots piece. Again, most important piece that we can do right now is make as much noise as we can by signing up to write a letter to the editor, by taking the CTA that we just dropped in, the most recent one. Time to start using your corporate email lists and get consumers, get your employees, get every single person that is in your orbit that is impacted by the hemp industry to sign on to that CTA, because as we did in November and December, with the hundreds of thousands of emails that were sent to members of Congress because of everyone like you all on this call, we were able to get everyone to pay attention to the hemp industry. Because of those emails, because of those phone calls that went into a lot of those congressional offices, they all paid attention. And Dwayne, I think it'd be helpful for you to remind everybody how they prioritize, inbound emails and issues.
Sure, sure, absolutely. I'll walk through that real quick and I'll have another one. I actually like Craig Cash. Can you send all this info out in an email? I'll let you guys work on that while I explain this to you. So basically, right now, we're in August recess. A lot of members have went home. Now it's up to their staff, right? So their staff, if you send an email through the congressional office, you'll ping this, fill out that, say what you want to say. It then goes to their legislative correspondent. That legislative correspondent is in charge of overseeing all letters, emails. I mean, I guess some people still faxes. I don't know, but all the incoming media from constituents, from their constituents. They then will take a tally. What have we heard the most about? Is it a transportation bill? Is it a farm bill? Is it hemp? And then they will go to their legislative assistants and say, this is how many hemp letters that we've had, emails that we've gotten. That then goes to the chief of staff, who then takes it to the member of Congress and says, hey, as far as emails go, here are the top 3 issues that we have that have been coming in saying that we should fix. As far as mail in, because people still mail letters in, here are the top 3 issues. As far as engagement on social media, here are the top 3 issues. And that way, the chief of staff, the member of Congress, and then their policy director, the legislative director, are all keeping an eye on what their constituents are saying, especially as we gear closer and closer to an election.
Yep. So that's
Um,
why it couldn't be more important for y'all to blast out these CTAs and continue to raise the awareness. And another point, another comment actually from Brandon Harshbarger. We are preparing to run a consumer awareness campaign. And we will be donating our own money and buying the media at cost and on Meta with full transparency and reporting. This campaign will run through a certain time period. Thank you very much, Brandon. That is awesome. He's offered if any brands want to reach out to him and include themselves in this, they all absolutely can. And Brandon, give me a ring because I might have some thoughts on targeting for you, just so you could better focus on the folks that we really need to drive resources behind to make sure that their constituents see this. So yes, thank you very much, Brandon, for taking the lead on that.
I'll say Your Place LLC, when talking to our representatives, what is the best thing we're asking them to support? Extension, bar bill, both. Thank you. Great question. Again, I'll go back to it and say this, both, right? So as you're saying, it's like, hey, Congress, fix this, right? We had an industry that was thriving. You guys came in, you shut it off. You have an opportunity now to regulate it. We would love to be regulated. We would love to be taxed. We want to get the bad guys out of the market. But guess what, Congress? You gave us a 1 year deadline, and we're about 2 months away. So we want you to fix this, and if that means extending this to give yourselves more time to fix this, we would be for that too. So that's how I would frame that. Lawrence, oh Lawrence, do we really believe this is going to happen? It's beginning to feel like Groundhog's Day with these calls, just like government over promises, undelivered brain mothers. Sorry, but losing faith in these calls. Lawrence, I get it. I mean, I've told you we haven't sugarcoated on these calls, nor do I intend to. I have said that right today. This is the last train leaving the station. If there ever was a time to talk to your members, to convince your members, it is now. What has happened over the last 8 months is we have grown this coalition in the Senate from where it was Rand Paul and maybe a couple other senators to where we're now sitting at least 8 to 10 on the Republican side who are aware, and a lot more who are aligned on the Dem side in the Senate. And on the House side, we've got a regulatory bill introduced that's bipartisan with the ranking member on ag. We did all of that in 8 months. If you talk to anybody on the federal level, when I mean we, I mean the industry. I'm not talking about Hifa. I'm talking about the industry. We did all that in 8 months. And most members of Congress, when I talk to them, their staff, I'll look at Russell Fry. He was the one that told me this. Hemp has been the top incoming in email and in calls since May this year. Members of Congress are hearing this. I know it feels like it's Groundhog's Day. While I do love the movie, I do not love living that. But I also will say that this is the last train leaving the station. These members have an opportunity to fix this. And if they do not fix this, you have an opportunity to vote them out of office.
That's
I
right.
know that sounds really bad, but I'm being very honest with you. And so that's how I would look at this, which is I'm trying to be nice, and I'm trying to, if I'm you, hey, you've given yourself a year implementation date when you put this together to open back up the federal government. I was talking to a member from Georgia, Austin Scott, phenomenal. He hated the fact that they attached this to legislation to open back up the government. He's been out there saying that. but they put themselves in this situation. And so what we're doing right now is giving them every opportunity to regulate. And if they decide not to, or it's not worth their time, then are they worth your time to serve you again in Congress? That's how I would look at it. What you got, Brian?
I was just sending a CTA to somebody. Uh, Not a question, but we just donated 5K from Kansas. Keep up the fight. Thank you very much, RCC Promotions. That is incredibly helpful. And we absolutely could use the contributions because we got to continue paying the bills and keeping the engines rolling through from now until we get this extension and beyond. But again, just to come over the top on just what Dwayne just said about the Groundhog Day comment. Trust me, we feel it, we live it. We report what we hear, we report what we learn. We're very transparent about these things. Some things we don't go too in the weeds on because they're tactics. And as we found out, some folks that don't really like the hemp industry sometimes tend to listen to us on these calls. So we can't give too much actionable intel to those folks. But to the point, we have a lot of room for optimism here. And I'll give another good example of how I've always viewed the hemp industry. I view the hemp industry today as where the cryptocurrency industry was about 2, 3 years ago. And minus all the money, the crypto industry came in and decided to get a little bit of organization around it because there was a lot of medium-sized voices in the room. And now where we're at is we've more or less established ourselves as the voice in the room with the admin and a lot of folks on the legislative side. And we're just pushing to try to get good legislation done in as short a time frame as possible, which, getting something done for an industry in DC will take 2 to 4 years. And what we're about to hopefully pull off has been done, will have been done in the span of about 10 months, from when the ban happened. And please try to remember, there was zero support on the Senate other than Senator Rand Paul about a year ago. This time, we picked up Ted Cruz to vote against the amendment. A lot of Democrats. But now we've been able to continue to grow that support, and that bench is going to continue to grow. And that's with good messaging, respectful messaging, and continuing to engage your consumers to send emails to your congressional members. I'm trying to see what else we got. Mm, nope. Okay, can't read that one.
Can't read that one. I know exactly what you're talking about.
Oh man, there's some
All
bad
right, Joshua said, sadly, I missed last week's Senator Sheehy discussion. Can you provide highlights or let me know where I can find details on last week's discussion? I can go in a little bit, Brian. You can kind of come over top if you want to. I thought, you guys heard me after the call. I thought Sheehy was phenomenal. He understood this. He came from a veteran's perspective. And what we've always said is allowing choice for their men and women in service, but not just them, but all overall constituents. He was very moved by the outpouring of the people from Montana and the education component as well. Because I know, when I talked to his staff, they didn't want to be known as the weed guy. But then when we really broke it down and educated his staff, and others in the industry came in to talk about it, not just from an intoxicating perspective, he really would, he was really emotional, like, hey, we got to get something done. And again, that was the power of individuals having a conversation. So they're still working on the bill. They're still tweaking the bill. He wants to make this bipartisan. I think that's close to happening. I'm almost positive that's going to happen. And again, as we continue to move through this issue, having a bipartisan bill is going to be what's key. And we had one last week introduced by Angie Craig and Andy Barr. And if we can get another one introduced by Senator Sheehy and that Senate Dem, that only strengthens our position. So hopefully that answered your question. I'm also going to say this real quick. And Brian, I'm going to say it. To all you other people in the industry, some of you other groups, get your stuff right. Okay? Stop lighting your hair on fire when you don't have all the information and sending stuff around. Because you're creating fire drills that don't need to happen. And it's better when we have all the information and we trust the process and we use our connections. So before you light the hair on fire, check around with a couple other people because some of the stuff that happened last week had no business happening.
Yeah.
That I'll
And
turn it back over to Brian.
Dwayne and I learned very early in our years not to light our hair on fire, which is why we don't have hair. So, yeah, that's age and
Yeah,
experience talking here. Well, I guess we're running up against the 30 minutes, and Dwayne, I know
yep.
you got to hop, but I just want to reiterate to everyone, we're going to send an email immediately after this call with the Speak For link that I just dropped. That is the CTA. We're going to send and include a couple of the most recent stories in that as well. Rachel's going to be dropping that to everyone within a couple minutes of this call concluding, as well as we will add in the industry letter, which I'm just dropping here right now, where we need to get associations and groups outside of the hemp industry. You know, there's been tons of veteran groups that are incredibly supportive. We had a group out of Missouri, one of the moms groups that came out in support. I'm having a total brain fart on the name, but
Mobile? Was it Mom's Mobile?
Mom's mobilized. That's right.
Yep. Yep.
And so a lot of support for this industry. We just need to get those voices out there. In addition to just the farmers that have done such a great job. I mean, we had close to I think 400 farmers sign a letter that went
Right.
around to Congress about 6, 7 months ago. So again, please, 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 get your email lists engaged. Now is the time to start making more noise, guys. These guys need to understand what will come if we are not going to be protected going into November and saved. So that being
Yep.
said, thank you everybody.
All right, guys. Have a great Monday.
We'll send around an email when we have our next call. Thank you, everybody.
Record.